did a video the other day about Cardano to $30, and many of you are wondering, is that really possible? Absolutely, it's possible. Now, is it irrational? It's absolutely irrational. Should it ever happen? No. But we as human beings are very irrational, and we tend to operate on fear of missing out or fear of going to zero. I will show you more evidence of that, as well as I will show you some things that have me excited. And I was looking a different way at where Cardano could go and come to a similar conclusion with it. So I want to share that with you because I haven't shared that before. So without anything further, let's get the party started. Join me. Definitely join us, rainmakers. All right, let's get into this. If you're new, you don't know what rainmakers are, I'll explain that later. Look, I want to share with you back to this chart that we were looking at before. So if we pull Fibonacci numbers on this, so let's go ahead and put this in and go from the bottom to the top. This could show that in the short term, it could go to these Fibonacci extension levels, $5 or $6, and that's approximately where I think it will go as the Alonzo hard fork comes out. Now, I did make a video back, geez, it was probably February, and look at where the price was in February. And it was a video about Cardano going to $30, and people thought I was crazy. The price was somewhere around here, I think, and maybe on its way up. So maybe 60 cents, and many people told me $3 would never even happen. Well, look what almost happened. And it's okay that they feel that. I mean, some people are brand new to crypto, and they're thinking with their rational brain. And who can blame them? Because obviously our rational brain helps us figure out a lot of things. What we often don't realize is how irrational human emotions are when it comes to buying behavior, even as something like investments. Now, when you've been in investments for a long time, you tend to act more rational rather than irrational. But we as human beings act very irrational on a lot of things, and then we justify our irrational decisions with logic. Now, I know what I said just sounds counterintuitive, like how would that ever be the case? Now, that came when I did regular real estate for a number of years, and I saw how irrational buyers' behavior is I tried to help my buyers make good decisions, especially if they were investing in real estate. I'd help them make good investment decisions, but oftentimes their emotions were getting in the way of them making sound investments. In fact, almost always their emotions were getting in the way. And that confused me at first till I learned to understand how tied to emotions our behavior is. And that's why when we look at things, I want to pull up the fear and greed index. I mean, look at this. We're at a solid 21 of extreme fear on the fear and greed index. So when is it a better time to be buying? Well, now, right? How does the old saying go? By Warren Buffett, one of the greatest stock investors of all times. He knows nothing about technology stocks, though, and nothing about crypto, but his statement holds true, especially for crypto. When other people are greedy, I get fearful. When other people are fearful, I get greedy. Well, look at this. Let me ask you, was this a better time to be buying back in April, or was this a better time to be buying? Yet, we were more likely to make additional purchases here, weren't we? And we're less likely to make additional purchases here. Why? Because we're buying based on emotion and we feel really good. Here we feel down, we're sad, we're scared. And so guess what? This is why thinking like an investor takes practice and it takes time, because we have to override our emotions. So I have been making some good pickups over here. Now, I picked up Cardano the other day at $1.50. Some more. And I didn't think I'd be buying any more Cardano because I'm pretty heavy on Cardano. I do like it. And yet I did. And oh my gosh, it broke below here, and that's terrible. It's not terrible. It just, I'm patient, and with my time frame that I'm happy with, it'll go up from there, but maybe not even yet. I mean, there is some resistance if we draw it out, trying to hold up things, but it could break below that. Look at this quick run we had here. Now, we have a lot of structure and resistance here, but if it continues to break down, it could come down tremendously. And if it does, I just use that opportunity to buy even more, because there's some fundamental things going on with Cardano that people have been waiting ages for, and that's the release of smart contracts. In fact, there's good news related to smart contracts, and Cardano is a month ago they began their Alonzo testnet and the first step towards smart contracts. Those tests are going very well, and they successfully did some tests with their smart contracts and they worked flawlessly. So those tests are going well. Now that's not a huge surprise, although bugs come up when you take the time to draw out the theory of your architecture before programming it like Cardano did. It takes you a lot longer in the early stage of development, but later as you're putting the code into practice and putting it together, usually that runs smoother, and we're seeing that play out. So Cardano's story has always made sense to me, how Charles Hoskinson went the approach he did and why he went the approach he did. It leads to a very long early development stage, but at the later stages it comes together very fast, and we're seeing that. This is all the way back in February 12th that Charles said Cardano has over 100 commercial projects in the pipeline, and that was as of February. Do you think that number is up from what it was? Tremendously, right? Now, we don't know what the numbers are, but especially as their smart contracts become available, I expect there's going to be a flood of projects fleeing Ethereum, because right now gas prices aren't terrible. I mean, I've sent some transactions for about $2 at the low side. But that will come back up as more money comes into the space again. We go through our next big pickup. So anyway, this isn't too helpful. These are some of the assets on Cardano now, but ADAX is one of the only ones I see on here that really is a viable, like not some kind of meme coin and stuff. Project Catalyst. So let's go back to, I wanted to share with you how I was looking at Cardano a different way on where it could go to. Now, right now, if we look on CoinMarketCap, let's take a look at what the market cap's at, 44 billion, because I keep an eye on this, but some people put too much weight, or I feel they put too much weight on this, because market caps are important, but they're not everything. Because what is depends on the price will go to what buyers and sellers are willing to sell at and buy at. So you don't have to have billions of dollars transacted in order to raise the price significantly. All that has to happen is most of the sellers decide they're not going to sell, and buyers want to buy, and if no sellers are selling, that price raises pretty fast until it gets attractive enough to some sellers to decide to go ahead and sell. And so sometimes people think if the market cap gets to $1 trillion, you have to have $1 trillion come in, and that's not necessarily the case. Now, I was doing some analysis on this, and I showed you this before, drawing out the retracement. So in the short term, now for us to get to $30, it has to get all the way up here. That's right here. So it has a long ways to go from there. How does that happen? Now, let me share with you a different chart. So this is the history of Cardano versus Bitcoin. And we're not even to the same Satoshi price that we were before. In fact, if we did get to that same Satoshi price, for round numbers, I'm going to say it gets to this right here, this line right here, the 9,000 Satoshis. And let's do some math. Now, let's assume, okay, let me make sure I get this exactly right. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. So that many Satoshis, 9,000 Satoshis. Then let's assume Bitcoin gets to 200,000. Now, it could get higher, but I think it'll hit at least 180 to 200,000, may go way higher than that. But at the top of the market, for my feelings, that's a pretty safe number. So that's going to take Cardano, if it just gets to here, and Bitcoin is at 200,000, then Cardano is going to be at $18. Now, is Cardano a lot farther ahead in technology, or will it soon be than it was here? A lot farther ahead. So my guess is its price versus Bitcoin is going to be even better than last time. And so all it has to do is get to a price that's not even quite double that. And bam, we're there at $30. Does that make sense? So is that going to happen? Yeah, my guess. Now, I'm a big Cardano holder. It's my largest holding of everything. And, I love that you can just stake it and get rewards. Those rewards tend to add up over time too, as you just leave it staked. And so I'm really happy with just staking, getting the rewards. But once it starts getting to significant price levels, I'll take probably my first profits between $6 to $10 and just a little bit, right? And that's going to completely cover what I have into Cardano and then be in huge profit as well. And then, when it hits other price markers, I'll take some more because you never know exactly where the top is going to be. And it could be $30, could be higher. But even if you believe it'll hit $30, you would be unwise to put all your eggs in that basket and not sell any till it hits then. Unless you're planning to hold for the long term anyway. And I know many people are just going to hold for 5 years. Personally, I'm not going to. I'm going to be selling near what I think is the top, and then I'm going to be buying back during the bear market. Now, there's always the risk that Cardano doesn't retrace very much during the bear market, and that could happen. But we did see Ethereum even retrace 95% last time. And so even if Cardano does better than what Ethereum did last time, it might still retrace 85 to 90%. And so I'd like to be able to take some profits, pay off the house completely, as well as buy more Cardano than I had before, right? And then just restake it. Why not play it that way? Now, some people aren't, because there's always the risk that it doesn't go down as much, or you don't time it very well and you end up behind in the position rather than ahead. And I get that risk. So whatever makes sense for you. Do note that none of this is financial advice. I'm just an investor myself. I'm sharing what I'm doing, what I'm going for. I talked about rainmakers before, and rainmakers are those that are really looking to make it rain for their family. I want to share with you some insights. And what I've seen is in one cycle, it's really hard to make life-changing wealth, or I should say unlikely. And the reason it's unlikely is we're always bad at something before we're good at something. If you're new to investing in general, you're going to make some mistakes. Even if you're experienced in investing when you come into this, like I had 20 years of experience in investing coming into this, I still made some of those mistakes. Why? Because crypto brings out our FOMO and our fear more than anything, right? Because it's so quick. And so I did make some of those mistakes and learned some lessons. My first cycle in 2017, I learned a lot from those lessons. It helped prepare me during the last crypto winter. I continued to buy and put in every penny I could. And this cycle has already created life-changing wealth, and hopefully even more life-changing wealth as we go further in on this cycle. And so the rainmakers are those who are committing to this ecosystem for at least 5 years, if not 9. And that gives you enough time and enough space not to take too risky of bets, which then risks you losing everything, as well as it gives you the space to learn and to grow and still make some mistakes, but then be able to recover from them and prepare yourself to do as good as possible this cycle, and then take some profits, or just decide you're going to hold it for the 5 year. But I'm going to be taking some profits, and as I get to those points, I will be sharing with you more about taking profits. I still think we have plenty of bull run ahead of us. That's just my thesis. And so that's how I'm playing it for myself. And I'll be taking some profits. Yes, that does incur some taxable events, and that's okay. I'd rather pay, the tax man 30, 40, 45% and be able to still buy way cheaper than hold all the way down and have something retraced 95 or 98 or even 90%. So that's my plan. All right, I hope that's helpful. So I do have a Telegram group that you can get to see more below, and we interact pretty frequently. I'll be gone for a day and a half. I do have a recorded video that we did just the other day with the CEO of WanChain, Jack Liu. Really appreciated him coming on for the interview. This is one of the tokens that I'm most bullish on. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to Formation Finance. They had their IDO in this terrible market, and it's a hard place, a hard time to be having an IDO. And yet they did amazing things. I think they came out at 3 cents. So this chart doesn't show 3 cents. Went all the way to 55 cents. I like buying cheap, and to me, cheap was below 10 cents. And so none of those buy orders are able to get filled, and you can buy this on Qcoin. This is just showing actually the numbers of what it looks like on Uniswap. But they're also on the Binance Smart Chain. They have a number of big announcements coming up. Really, the team on this, gosh, they work their tails off. They already have a big partnership with Injective Protocol. And so it might not get, I don't know how to understand this. Generally, when things come out in such a slow market, they do actually stay pretty low. So I can't tell you whether this is a good price or not. I have no idea. Likelihood it will come down below this. And I was waiting with some of the rainmakers. We were talking about getting it in on Telegram. We were talking about getting it at anything below 10 cents, and it didn't come down to that. So we'll see how this plays out, but I did want to congratulate the team. I did interview them. It wasn't an interview that I was able to air because they talked about some things that they couldn't have public, and that was about 2 months ago. But what I'll share with you that I liked from that is both the people were extremely bright, completely fluent in English and Chinese, so that they can play this in the Asian markets as well as all the Western markets and build it for both. And I like that a lot. All right. I do thank you for joining me. I've got a song from Manuela for all those rainmakers out there. Manuela made the song for you. Thanks so much.
Success is falling, flowing like rain. The timing's right, we're getting paid. Come on, rainmakers, let's make this happen.